Hi everybody, and it's our Monday afternoon TNT. We did another one this morning, which was a warning about the biggest storm, basically a typhoon now, making its way out of the North Pacific. It just clicked past the northern section of the Philippines over the past 24 hours, now making its way, heading northwest and towards the South China coast, specifically places like Hong Kong, Macau, Shenzhen. And it could be building up in its power, probably going to hit there in the next 48 hours. They're even looking at closing the Hong Kong airport from 6 p.m. on Tuesday night. Now, you should be checking if you are travelling into that region with your carrier to see if there's any changes or cancellations of flight. And I'll put a link to this morning's story in the description of this video, so not too hard to find. But this video is about the scam centres. Now, realise that we, perhaps more than any other channel, have spoken a lot about these scam centres and the way that they've sort of evolved, changed. There's been crackdowns. There were reported at some stages up to 700,000 people in some of these scam centres, a lot of them dotted around the borders of Thailand, for lots of strategic reasons, taking advantage of modern, fast, and for them, free internet, and then things like the power. Now, in many cases, those have been cut. A lot of these scam centres and the organisations have sort of packed up their desks and computers and their victim scammers and taken them into Cambodia and sort of reset up shop there. But this story was broken by Reuters. It was, I think, on Friday. This Thailand business news version is a sort of a summary of some of the main points in the story. A lot of it you'll already know. And I'll also refer to the original Reuters story, which was a very well put together pictorial-based summary of the scam centre problem. And other allegations are in that Reuters story of Thai immigration police allegedly being involved with, facilitating the movement of a lot of these scam victims from Thailand on the promise of jobs and other things, and then out of the country, over the border, and into some of these scam centres. In some cases, we just don't know what happened to them. But we'll start off with this summary. Their version headline, Kidnapped in Thailand and Forced into Slavery in Myanmar. It talked about the Reuters report exposing an international criminal network with many of the operations reaching Thailand, concentrated primarily in remote regions along the Thai-Myanmar border. But as we and many others have reported, it's also around the Thai-Lao border, and certainly in the last 12 months in the Thai-Cambodian border and into Cambodia. It talks about the network exploiting vulnerable individuals and luring them with promises of legitimate job opportunities. Victims are coerced into participating in fraudulent activities, including phishing schemes, investment scams, and other forms of online deception. Thousands of people, often victims of trafficking themselves, are forced to work in these scam centres on pain of brutal violence. I suppose the key feature of this story, Thailand plays a key role as a hub for the trafficking of these victims. And that's really the cornerstone of this original Reuters story, which we will get to. A lot of these scam centres, scam cities in some cases, are not within the Thai borders. They're scattered just outside of the Thai borders. But Thailand is still complicit and facilitates a lot of these operations by these people arriving in Thailand perfectly legally and then getting basically kidnapped from the airports and taken out. A bit more about how that happens. These scam centres, often located in remote areas or out of the reach of authorities, exploit victims to carry out fraudulent activities online, such as financial scams or cyber attacks. Organised criminal networks take advantage of the vulnerability of traffickers, depriving them of their basic rights and keeping them in inhumane conditions. International efforts to dismantle these networks and protect victims remain insufficient in the face of the scale of the problem. And the Reuters investigation highlights not only the existence of the scam centres, but also the instrumental role of some alleged Thai immigration officials in the transfer of victims to Myanmar. So then it goes into summarising the story, the way it's all done. People are lured to Thailand, often by promises of lucrative jobs at Bangkok airport, could be either of the airports. They're intercepted by people posing as immigration officials or representatives of their hotel. Now, I've also had some of these scam victims saying that they arrived at the Phuket airport, because Phuket airport to Ranong and then over to Myanmar, only a 5-hour drive. And talking about life in these scam centres, saying that they're run by Chinese criminal gangs, are guarded by local militias affiliated with the Burmese army. Some, but not all, are run by Chinese criminal gangs. You can be assured that there's plenty of Burmese, Lao and Khmer criminal gangs also in on this game now. Of course, being native, they get a lot more opportunities to do things undetected. The victims are forced to work long hours, 17 to 20 hours a day, and their task is to contact people online with fake identities and scam them through fake investment schemes, and templates are sometimes used for video calls to further deceive victims. They're basically given lessons and guidebooks telling them exactly what they need to say. They've been doing this for so long and to so many people that the whole operation is very, very sophisticated. And then down the bottom, living conditions are extremely difficult. The role of authorities and militias. Allegations suggest complicity by some Thai immigration officials and airport employees in trafficking the victims. So it's these specific allegations that have got both Thai immigration officials and airport authorities in a bit of a tiz, and we'll get to their response in just a moment. But we're going to go to some of the Reuters report. And the way it was put together, I thought was very imaginative and very clever, and it certainly took you through in a lot of detail. It takes about 5 or 10 minutes to get through the report. There is a link in the description of this video to this very creative report. I'll just take you through some of the main slides, but the whole thing sort of morphs as you slowly scroll down. And it features this man called Oli. Back in November 2024, after nearly 9 hours in the air, a commercial flight from Ethiopia approached Bangkok. And on board was Oli, a 39-year-old East African. He was thinking he was going to be spending 5 nights in the city, or so he thought. And you can see the way this very beautifully morphs and talks about scammed into scamming. There's 3 or 4 different chapters. The sequence of events, the dialogues. Part 1, the abduction, talking about what happens at the airport. He's making his way through the arrival section, getting to immigration. "Excuse me, are you this person?" So she told him, "Follow me. Is there a problem with my passport?" And the immigration officer made a phone call. Then he stamped Oli's passport. "Have a nice day." Then, of course, you get to the luggage collection area. And this, I suppose, a few questions on this we'll get to later. And somebody meets them in the luggage section. I'm not exactly sure how that would happen. And then he takes them to a woman who then escorts him to a car. He fell asleep in the car, according to his report, as he was making a 9-hour journey to the border. And then he was confronted with people who basically kidnapped him from the car and took him to one of the secure compounds, in this case on the Burmese border. You could just imagine, if you're in that situation, how scared you'd be and how completely disoriented. I'll put a link in the description to that very well put together Reuters story. But now to the Thai officials and those specific allegations. And this report from cowsodenglish.com, the headline, "Immigration Bureau disputes Reuters scam trafficking story." The Thai Immigration Bureau has strongly refuted a Reuters investigation that alleged Thai immigration officials were involved in trafficking foreigners into Myanmar-based cybercrime operations. They say it's essentially fiction, and they're demanding media outlets verify information before publication. Addressing that specific Reuters story, they travelled to Thailand, they wound up cyber scam slaves in Myanmar. And as we just saw, central to the Reuters story was the testimony of Oli, described as an IT consultant in his early 30s from East Africa, who'd allegedly travelled from Ethiopia to Thailand in November last year. And Oli had claimed that a female immigration officer checked his passport at the airport and then handed him over to hotel staff at the baggage carousel. But just last Saturday, the commander of Immigration Division 2 held a press conference to address what he characterised as distorted facts in the Reuters report. And he highlighted several logistical impossibilities in the Reuters account. He noted that hotel staff cannot access airport baggage carousels. Without special clearance from the airport authorities. Well, that's essentially true, but these scam gangs are very wealthy, and how difficult would it be to get numerous airport authorities involved in the scam? And he also spoke about the high-risk foreign nationals potentially involved in call centre gangs, noting that African and South Asian countries undergo enhanced scrutiny of visas, return tickets, travel plans and accommodation. Those with previous entries via Myanmar or Cambodian border checkpoints are automatically denied entry. And saying from January this year, 16,538 individuals have been refused entry, including 303 from South Asia and Africa. Well, there's no doubt that this year there has been a lot of attention from Thai authorities, a lot of interceptions by people who are trying to get from Thai airports over the borders. I fear, however, that they've really only just scraped the very tip of the iceberg. The Cowsett English report says that potential victims of trafficking operations are identified through indicators such as first-time visits to Thailand, vague travel plans, lack of return tickets, or unconfirmed accommodations. And a bit like the way that some people have been facing lots of questions in regard to their Thai bank accounts, if you are confronted by an immigration officer and they start asking you lots of questions, it's really to try and root out some of these scam city and scam kidnap problems. And the immigration commander questioned the motives behind the Reuters report, noting that it followed another major international outlet's documentary titled The Dark Side of Paradise. And he stressed that Thailand actively coordinates with foreign governments to dismantle trafficking networks and has repatriated numerous foreigners rescued from Myanmar call centre operations. Now, according to NGOs, other independent reporters, numerous reports over the last 3 or 4 years, there could be between 500,000 and 700,000 people who have been kidnapped into these scam centres. I would say this year we've had evidence of maybe up to 8,000 to 10,000 people released. We haven't really scratched the surface. And this slide from the Reuters report, hundreds of thousands of people from dozens of countries have made similar journeys to scam centres across Southeast Asia since the start of the decade, according to the United Nations. And thanks to some of those thousands of people that have been freed, in some cases their families having to pay huge ransoms to get released from the scam centres, we do know a lot more about the way these places operate and the sort of living conditions and torture that some of these victims have to undergo. Victims at every level in these scam centres. I'll keep on talking about it, I'll keep on reporting about it, because I think it's a very important story, because not only are there, hundreds of thousands of these scam victims directly involved, there's also thousands and thousands of people who are losing money out of their pockets and their bank accounts every single day of the year. It's $1 billion industry and it will continue. So thanks for watching. Hopefully you found it useful. I'd still like to point out that the Thai immigration authorities have denied a lot of what was pointed out in the report, but you be the judge. As I said, there's links in the report to that original Reuters report, and I'd urge you to go through it. Thanks for watching.